Today we are going to start with the chapter A Shirt in the Market. This chapter tells us the story of a shirt. It begins with the production of cotton and ends with the sale of the shirt. We shall see that a chain of markets links the producer of cotton to the buyer of the shirt in the supermarket. Buying and selling takes place at every step in the chain. Does everyone benefit equally from this? Or do some people benefit more than the others? We shall find out. A cotton farmer in Kurnool. Swapna, a small farmer in Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh, grows cotton on her small piece of land. The balls of the cotton plant are ripe and some have already burst, so Swapna is busy picking cotton. The balls which carry the cotton in them do not burst open all at once, so it takes several days to harvest the cotton. Once the cotton is collected, instead of selling it at the Kurnool cotton market, Swapna and her husband takes the harvest to the local trader. At the beginning of the cropping season, Swapna had borrowed rupees 2500 from the trader at a very high interest rate to buy seeds, fertilizers, pesticides for cultivation. At that time, the local trader made Swapna agree to another condition. He paid her promise to sell all her cotton to him. Now, cultivation of cotton requires high level of inputs such as fertilizers, pesticides, and the farmers have to incur heavy expenses on account of these. Most often, the small farmers need to borrow money to meet these expenses. At the trader's yard, two of his men weigh the bags of cotton. At a price of rupees 1500 per quintal, the cotton fetches rupees 6000. The trader deducts rupees 3000 for repayment of loan and interest and pays Swapna 3000 rupees. Now Swapna, 3000 only. Trader, cotton is selling cheap. There is a lot of cotton in the market. Swapna, I have toiled so hard for 4 months to grow this cotton. You can see how fine and clean the cotton is this time. I had hoped to get a much better price. Trader, Amma, I am giving you a good price. Other traders are not even paying this much. You can check at the Kurnool market if you do not believe me. Swapna, don't be angry. How can I doubt you? I had only hoped that we would earn enough from the cotton crop to last us few months. Though Swapna knows that cotton will sell for at least 1800 rupees per quintal, she doesn't argue further. The trader is a powerful man in the village, and the farmers have to depend on him for loans not only for cultivation but also to meet other exigencies such as illnesses, children's school fees. Also, there are times in the year when there is no work and no income for the farmers, so borrowing money is the only means of survival. Swapna's earning from cotton cultivation is barely more than what she might have earned as a wage laborer. Now, before proceeding to the next topic, let's come back to our last page again and let's study this picture on the right hand side. This one. Number 1. Trader sells the cotton at the Kurnool cotton market. Number 2. Ginning mill buys the cotton. Then the third step is ginning mill removes the seeds and presses the cotton into bales. Number 4 is spinning mill buys the bales. Then number 5 step is spinning mill spins the cotton into yarn. And the sixth step is spinning mill sells the yarn to yarn dealers. Okay. So this is the process how the cultivation of cotton happens and how it reaches in the market. Okay. Now come to the next page. The next topic, the cloth market of Erode. Erode's bi-weekly market in Tamil Nadu is one of the largest cloth markets in the world. A large variety of cloth is sold in this market. Cloth that is made by weavers in the villages around is also brought here for sale. Around the market are offices of cloth merchants who buy this cloth. Other traders from many South Indian towns also come and purchase cloth in this market. On market days, you would also find weavers bringing cloth that has been made on order from the merchant. These merchants supply cloth on order to garment manufacturers and exporters around the country. They purchase the yarn and give instructions to the weavers about the kind of cloth that is to be made. In the following example, we can see how this is done. The cloth market of Erode. Erode's bi-weekly cloth market in Tamil Nadu is one of the largest cloth markets in the world. A large variety of cloth is sold in this market. Cloth that is made by weavers in the villages around is also brought here for sale. Around the market are offices of cloth merchants who buy this cloth. Other traders from many South Indian towns also come and purchase cloth in this market. On market days, you would also find weavers bringing cloth that has been made on order from the merchant. These merchants supply cloth on order to garment manufacturers and exporters around the country. They purchase the yarn and give instructions to the weavers about the kind of cloth that is to be made. Now, in the following example, we can see how this is done. So, number 1. See, this is a merchant shop in the bazaar. Number 1, you can see the photos. These are marked with numbers here. See, number 1, number 2. Okay, so I'll be reading it sequence-wise. Number 1. This is a merchant shop in the bazaar. Over the years, these traders have developed extensive contacts with garment firms around the country from whom they get orders. These traders purchase the yarn thread from others. Now, number 2. The weavers live in villages around and take the yarn supplied by these traders to their homes, where the looms are located in sheds adjacent to their houses. This photograph shows a power loom. So, this is the photograph of a power loom in one such home. The weavers and their families spend long hours working on these looms. Most weaving units have about 2 to 8 power looms on which the yarn is woven into cloth. A variety of saris, towels, shirting, ladies' dress material and bed sheets are produced in these looms. Number 3. This is number 3. They then bring back the finished cloth to the traders. Here they can be seen getting ready to go to the merchant in the town. The trader keeps an account of the yarn given and pays them money for weaving this into cloth. So now let's come to the topic putting out system, weavers producing cloth at home. Putting out system, okay? The merchant distributes work among the weavers based on the orders he has received for cloth. The weavers get the yarn from the merchant and supply him the cloth. Now for the weavers, this arrangement seemingly had two advantages. The weavers do not have to spend their money on the purchase of yarn. Also, the problem of selling the finished cloth is taken care of. Weavers know from the outset what cloth they should make and how much of it is to be woven. So here you can get this question, what are the advantages of this putting out system? So this is the answer. From here the weavers do not have to spend their money on purchase of yarn. This is first point. Second point, the problem of selling the finished cloth is taken care of. Weavers know from the outset what cloth they should make and know how much it is to be woven. So this is the answer of this question, that what is the advantage of putting out system. Now the next paragraph. However, this dependence on the merchants both for raw material and markets means that the merchants have a lot of power. They give orders for what is to be made and they pay a very low price for making the cloth. So this way the merchants, they dominate the workers. Okay, the weavers have no way of knowing who they are making the cloth for or at what price it will be sold. At the cloth market, the merchants sell the cloth to the garment factories. In this way, the market works more in favor of the merchants. Weavers invest all their savings or borrow money at a high interest rate to buy looms. Each loom costs rupees 20,000. So a small weaver with 2 looms has to invest rupees 40,000. The work on these looms cannot be done alone. The weaver and other adult member of his family work up to 12 hours a day to produce cloth. For all this work, they earn about rupees 3,500 per month. The arrangement between the merchant and the weavers is an example of putting out system, whereby the merchant supplies the raw material and receives the finished product. It is prevalent in the weaving industry in most regions of India. Now let's read this yellow box, Weavers Cooperative. We have seen that the weavers are paid very little by the merchant under the putting out system. Weavers cooperatives are one way to reduce the dependence on the merchant and to earn a higher income for the weavers. In a cooperative, people with common interests come together and work for their mutual benefit. In a weavers cooperative, the weavers form a group and take up certain activities collectively. They procure yarn from the yarn dealer and distribute it among the weavers. The cooperative also does the marketing. So, The role of the merchant is reduced and weavers get a fair price on the cloth. Now, this paragraph. You can get a question, write a short note on Weavers Cooperative. So you will start your answer from here, from the second line. Weavers Cooperatives are one way to reduce the dependence on the merchant and to earn a high income for the weavers. In a cooperative, people with common interests come together and work for the mutual benefit. In a weavers cooperative, the weavers form a group and take up certain activities collectively. They procure yarn from the yarn dealer and distribute it among the weavers. The cooperative also does the marketing, so the role of the merchant is reduced and weavers get a fair price on the cloth. Up till here, you will have to write the answer. If you get a question, write a short note on weavers cooperative. And you can also divide this answer in points, like this can be the first point, then this can be the second point, and then this can be the third point. Okay. Now, at times, the government helps the cooperatives by buying cloth from them at a reasonable price. For instance, the Tamil Nadu government runs a free school uniform program in the state. The government procures the cloth for this program from the power loom weavers cooperatives. Similarly, the government buys cloth from the handloom weavers cooperatives and sell it through stores known as co-optics. You might have come across one of these stores in your town. See, you can see this picture. Women workers sewing buttons in a garment factory. Now the next topic. The garment exporting factory near Delhi. The Erode merchant supplies the cotton cloth produced by the weavers to a garment exporting factory near Delhi. The garment exporting factory will use the cloth to make shirts. The shirts will be exported to foreign buyers. Among the foreign buyers are business persons from the US and Europe who run a chain of stores. These large stores do business strictly on their own terms. They demand the lowest prices from the supplier. In addition, they set high standards for quality of production and timely delivery. Any defects or delay in delivery is dealt with strictly. So the exporter tries his best to meet the conditions set by these powerful buyers. Faced with such pressures from the buyers, the garment exporting factories in turn try to cut costs. They get the maximum work out of workers at lowest possible wages. This way, they can maximize their own profits and also supply the garments to foreign buyers at a cheap price. The Impex garment factory has 70 workers. Most of them are women. Most of these workers are employed on a temporary basis. This means that whenever the employer feels that a worker is not needed, the worker can be asked to leave. Workers' wages are fixed according to their skills. The highest paid among the workers are the tailors who get about rupees 3,000 per month. Women are employed as helpers for thread cutting, buttoning, ironing, and packaging. These jobs have the lowest wages. Now, the next topic, the shirt in the United States. A number of shirts are on display at large clothes shops in the United States and are priced at $26. That is, each shirt sells for $26 or around rupees 1800, a single shirt. Now use this diagram shown in the margin to fill in the blanks below. The business person purchased the shirts from the garment exporter in Delhi for rupees 300 per shirt. Okay, see 300 per shirt. He then spent rupees 400 for advertising in the media and another per shirt on storage, 200 rupees per shirt on storage, display and all other charges. Thus the cost to this person is rupees 900 while he sells the shirt for rupees 1800 rupees. So 900 rupees. 900 rupees is his profit on one shirt. If he is able to sell a number of shirts, his profit will be higher. The garment exporter sold the shirt at rupees 300 per piece. The cloth and other raw materials cost him just rupees 100 per shirt. The worker's wages cost another rupees 25 per shirt. The cost of running his office came to rupees 25 per shirt. Now, can you calculate the profit per shirt for the garment manufacturer? So we can directly calculate it. The person is getting a profit of rupees 150 per shirt because he has just spent rupees 100 on raw material, then rupees 50 here. workers' wages and then running his office. So that comes to 150. 150 minus this rupees 300. So he is getting a profit of rupees 150 per shirt. Okay. Now, who are the gainers in the market? A chain of markets link the producer of cotton to the buyer at the supermarket. Buying and selling take place at every step in the chain. Let us recall who were the people who were involved in this process of buying and selling. Did they all gain as much? There were people who made profits in the market, and there were some who did not gain as much from this buying and selling. Despite their having toiled very hard, they earned little. Can you place them in the table shown here? So you can fill here. You can fill here the US shopkeeper, the merchants, the traders. Then here who didn't gain much are the person who are the weavers. Then the workers who are working like the tailor, the threading and cutting person. Those people. Okay. Now the next topic, market and equality. The foreign business person made huge profits in the market. Compared to this, the garment exporter made only moderate profits. On the other hand, the earnings of the workers at the garment export factory are barely enough to cover their day-to-day needs. Similarly, we saw that the small cotton farmer and the weaver at Erode put in long hours of hard work, but they did not get a fair price in the market for what they produced. The merchants or traders are somewhere in between. Compared to the weavers, they have earned more, but it is still much less than the exporter. Thus, not everyone gains equally in the market. Democracy is also about getting a fair wage in the market. Whether it is Kanta or Swapna, if families don't earn enough, how would they think of themselves as equal to others? Obviously, on one hand, the market offers people opportunities for work and to be able to sell things that they grow or produce. It could be the farmer selling cotton or the weaver producing cloth. On the other hand, it is usually the rich and the powerful that get the maximum earnings from the market. These are the people who have money and own the factories, the large shops, large land holdings, etc. The poor have to depend on the rich and the powerful various things. They have to depend for loans, as in the case of Swapna, the small farmer, for raw materials and marketing of their goods, weavers in the putting of system, and most often for employment, workers at the garment factory. Because of this dependence, the poor are exploited in the market. There are ways to overcome these, such as forming cooperatives of producers and ensuring that laws are followed strictly. Now, see, you can see this picture. This is a picture of a mall, obviously, of a big retail store. Now, did you know that the ready-made clothes that you buy require the work of so many different persons? Yes, so many people are involved in making one garment. So here we come to the end of this chapter. Glossary. So glossary, we'll be reading glossary. Number one, ginning mill. A factory where seeds are removed from cotton balls. The cotton is pressed into bales to be sent for spinning into thread. The second one, exporter, a person who sells goods abroad in other countries other than India. Then profit, the amount that is left or gained from earnings after deducting all the costs. If the costs are more than the earnings, it would lead to a loss. So here we come to the end of this chapter, and I will post this exercise in another video. Thank you.